Welcome to this video on the Zenora channel. My name is Sri Satguru, Buddha, Rama Bhagwan. In today's video we're going to talk about the tarot deck. So you might have heard about the tarot. It's actually a very popular thing. You might have even gone for a reading, possibly in your life, or bought a tarot deck and tried your hand at it too. So today we're going to provide some information about what the tarot deck is. Okay. Why is the tarot deck able to be used to divinize the present, the challenges, the future, and why can it be used in other ways as well? So the tarot deck, and I'm going to show you a tarot deck right now, okay? It comes in a little box usually like this, and there's many different types of systems of tarot that have been developed by different people and can be used in different ways, okay? But this is the one that would generally be known as the most popular one. It is the Rider Tarot deck, right? And this is commonly available, and it can be found in many witch stores or other kind of libraries or places where you can find tarot decks, and you can also find it online, right? Some people advise against getting into tarot in some traditions, beliefs. They think that it's an occult thing and that it can lead you into problems, okay? But it's not the tarot deck that's going to lead you into problems, okay? It's yourself that's going to lead you into problems if you don't treat everything that you do in life with respect, right? So you have to treat yourself with respect as well, right? Don't disrespect yourself in any way, right? So the tarot deck, it comes in a box. I'm going to pull out the deck right now. I'm going to show you a couple cards. This is my personal deck, okay? And this is a very special deck, but I'll show you one card here at the bottom of the deck, okay? So as you can see, it's image cards, right? Image cards. And, each card can be interpreted in many different ways. Now, different utilizations of the deck can be done. For readings, you can have different types of spreads. It's called a spread, where you spread the cards on the table. And you basically ask a question, right? It's usually a divination tool. So you ask a question, and you can formulate that in different systems. So for example, a very simple one would be present situation, challenges, and the future, the result. And different things like that can be used, and you can pull different cards to get better understanding of things. You can use it in different ways, right? So this is known around the world as a tool that can be used to divinize the future, and it's used by many beings of power mostly, okay? Because anyone can buy a deck, anyone can pick up a deck. Some people can actually get a reading off the deck that is an appropriate reading, right? And some people can really read the deck, right? And then there are different levels of practitioners of the deck as well, right? As in all types of practices, you can become better at things, right? And you can be naturally gifted through potentially your lineage or different ways to become proficient in these tools, right? So the deck is actually more than a tool. It's very interesting because it's an object. It's a tool that was personally designed and implemented by God. Okay, so when people say that it's an occult thing, that's not precise. It's actually God the Father who personally supervised the development of this tool. Okay, so the people who developed this tool, right, essentially designed by Pamela Coleman Smith under the direction of Arthur Edward Waite. Anyways, so there's an original version with an original back to the cards and all these different things, first editions and all that. But the deck of tarot was essentially designed by God, right? So he basically gave visions and understanding of the cards to the ones who designed the images of the cards, right? And the system of the cards. So those people who designed the deck at the beginning, they were getting direct knowledge from God the Father, who was guiding them in how to develop the system of the cards. Okay, so the first deck that came into application here basically was guided in that way, right? So God the Father designed the tarot deck, okay, and gave the visions of the cards to the designer of the deck, who basically created it, and it became a popular thing. Now, there are many reasons for this, because the tarot deck is a very important thing, okay? It is a tool that has images that were created by the divine, by God. So it's not the one who designed the deck who created the images. It's God who gave these images as knowledge in his mind so that he could create them, right? So they represent a link, a divining link with creation, basically. So used in the way that they are used, right? You can use them really to divinize, okay? They are actually holy images in that way, where they were designed by God, right? It's a system designed by God. Now, there are different decks, right? Different people have different decks, and people have different readings. So how does it work with readings? Well, depending on the power of the spiritual practitioner, okay, their reading will take precedence usually over the reading of a less powerful practitioner, okay, because their reading is going to be closer, is going to have more power within it, right? So more ability to connect with the deck, right? The more a being has power spiritually, the more they can connect with the deck, right, to a successful ability. So that doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to give you the most flowery and long-winded reading and all these different things. It tells you basically that their reading is going to be the closest to the truth, okay? Now, some people can have contradictory readings potentially on different subjects and questions, right? So how does it work? Well, the way it works basically is that the contradictory readings, okay, will only be done by people who are not doing a proper reading, okay? Because all the readings are going to be determined essentially by a great reading, okay? So the great reading is a reading from the first tarot deck, okay? So the most powerful spiritual practitioner, okay, has his tarot deck, okay? And that's known as the first deck. Okay, and who is that? The most powerful practitioner? It's God the Father, right? So he is the designer of the deck, okay, and the grand master of the deck, okay? And his deck becomes, by definition, the first deck, right? So the readings from the first deck, right, trump all the other readings and also determine what all the other readings are going to be as well in all the other decks, right, that fall under the first deck. So there's a pyramidical order of decks of practitioners, okay? And depending on the power of the practitioner, the closer you get to the pure truth of the reading. And at the lower levels where there's no power in the practitioner, there's no connection of the cards, they're just like dead cards. They're not dead cards because they're holy images, but in that way they're not giving you an appropriate reading, okay? So some people have the ability to read, okay, and some people don't. And some people have it to a much higher level and ability as well, right? Because they're stronger practitioners. When you get into the higher levels of practitioners, other things can be done with the reading as well, right? Some practitioners who practice, for example, forms of magic, okay, whether that be witchcraft or magecraft or different abilities or sorcery or other kinds of abilities, they can sometimes interact in different ways. So, for example, they can get a reading about someone and then they can use their powers, right, to try to do something to counteract that reading, right? So, oh, we see that you have a problem here, take this, and this will help you on your way, or we're going to do an energy healing now, or we're going to get some spirits out of you, or we're going to get demons out of you, or we're going to do a cleansing of things clinging to you, or we're going to stop any spells attacking you, or an evil eye, or things like that, right? Or we're going to heal you, or different things can be done as well by practitioners of magic, right? They can heal as well, right? They have wonderful abilities to heal, right? Wonderful abilities sometimes. So the the cards are used often by these people to get a reading before, right? Or they might use a pendulum or something like that, or runes or something like that, or they might turn a crysknife, or they might do different kind of things, or they might try to get knowledge in different ways, okay? But the cards are a really known method, as are runes, for example, or stones, or seashells, or things like that, right? That you can use to try to divinize. So the tarot is so powerful in divinizing because it was created by God, okay? Divinely created by God himself, God the Father, okay? Who guided the development of the deck, right? Because he is the grand master of the deck, right? And the deck can also be used in other ways, right? So if you have different levels of power, you can also interact with the deck in different ways, okay? And these are called authorities, okay? So authorities, such as, for example, you have, in heaven, you have information about angels, right? Different ranks of angels, etc., right? You have different authorities, right? Different dominions and all these different things, right? So what are these basically? These are authorities to interact with the deck, right? So when you have a certain result that's coming because of current circumstance, right, and the deck is projecting a certain result, you have some beings that have an authority over the deck, which can use the deck to change the result in the future, okay? So this is a form of magic in the application of the tarot deck. Okay, so these are done by people who have an authority over the deck. Okay, so they are given an authority over the deck by God, who grants authorities to all system communication networks in the computer, right? So they're given authority over the deck, and now they can do things with the deck. Okay, so a regular reader will, for example, you go to a regular reader and they'll basically give you a reading, and maybe they have magical powers as well. So maybe they'll make you fall in love with somebody or something like that. Okay, but more importantly than that, okay, they'll give you a real reading that's appropriate. Okay, and then they can guide you, hopefully, in understanding that reading so that you can make the adjustments yourself to better your circumstances, okay? But then when you have a being that has authority over the deck, what they can do is they can change the reading, okay, in different ways, okay? So what this is known, it can be done in many different ways, and not many people can do this, okay? But when you have enough Shakti, spiritual power, you can now alter the reading for someone. You can alter the circumstance on their behalf, okay, with their permission. Usually you would do it, okay? So for example, a regular reading at a place, a fortune teller or something like that, they're giving you a reading, and hopefully it's a good one from someone who has power, who gives you a real reading, okay? And maybe they give you advice on how to make your life better in the future. But some people, okay, they can actually offer you a turn, okay, or a change. So basically you're going through your reading and they can get to a point where they can say, I offer you a change on this card. Okay, and that's usually going to cost you a lot. Okay, so these are the beings that have authority over the deck. Okay, the most powerful readers of the deck, and they can interact with the deck and change readings for people. Okay, so for example, there are different things that can be done. Okay, you can do angles on the cards. Okay, so you can do a 10% angle, you can do a 15% angle, you can do a 30% angle, you can do different things like that. But you can also do a flip of the card. Okay, so not many people can do a flip of the card and have that much Shakti. Okay, there is theoretically the ability to do a flip of up to 3 cards. Okay, which is the reason why I don't rarely do a reading with more than 6 cards. Okay, because I reserve the right to flip half the cards. Okay, but more than flipping 3 cards is not sustained by the deck. Okay, so the ultimate grand master of the deck can flip 3 cards. So understand that not many people can flip even 1 card, okay? You can flip it, but you don't have the Shakti to make it happen, okay? To connect with that card, to connect with all the systems and the karmic processes of that individual and the system, and to make the effect in the karmic field. You don't have that power except if you do, okay? So these are people that have authority over the deck, okay? So as there is the grand master of the deck, there are also masters of the deck, Okay, and these are known as masters of the deck, basically, and they have the ability sometimes to interact with the deck to a certain level. Most people can only make a degree angle change of a little effect on a deck. Okay, it is very rare that you fall on a practitioner that can do a full flip of one card. Okay, and no one has more than one card flip, basically. Okay, so the deck is a very interesting thing. It is a direct connection that speaks to you about and connects to the system, okay, to the system computer in which we are, okay, because all things are connected, right? But because it's been built in this way, okay, to be used by people of power, okay, in their lineages, by God and by Himself as well, right? It is a very, 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 very powerful tool, okay? Used by many spiritual and magical practitioners. So the deck is a very interesting thing, okay? It is a very interesting tool, okay? And they work in a hierarchy of decks, which basically fall under the power of the spiritual practitioners who own those decks. So you have different practitioners which are ranked at different levels of the deck, and their decks are basically ranked at that level as well. I hope this video was interesting to you. Information about the tarot. And if you're interested in trying your hand at the tarot, there are decks to be found mostly everywhere. The question is, are you talented for it? Do you have the power? And what are your intentions? Because if you're a being that truly has power over the deck, you most likely have only the purest of intentions. Live well.